I want to thank,
Jesus.
there we go. I want to thank everybody for their presentations. This is fantastic. You made me smile. Yes, please. Sure. Do you want to come up to the mic? Please and thank you.
Please, hang on, please push the button. It says push. No, down below it says push the word. There you go.
Alice Foot.
Yep, you're good to go.
Thanks.
Well, I'm on the Conservation Commission and there's a big misunderstanding about our creation and what our purposes are and so on. We're only a wing of the town itself. And anything we do has to be approved by the select board. And I feel strongly that we would like to submit an application for money for improving the barn so that at least it's stable and looks well. The barn that's in the part of the park beyond the white fence that we secured funds for. And we got a loan to pay off what we couldn't accumulate for money to buy it originally. The group buying it originally, or town. And so therefore, we have over 10 years, the town has paid off in 10 increments the money that we bought the park with, the final amount. And so the school section is owned by the town. This big triangle, including the cemetery. And the barn has been there for many years, and many people would like to have it restored to some sort of useful purpose. But many other people feel that it's too far gone and should be removed. In any event, it's going to cost the town money. And I would just, the Conservation Commission was not aware that we needed to make this preparation. And it's kind of hard to get a historical contractor to submit an estimate for improvement without even getting an okay from the select board that they wish this to be done. We have a little bit of money in our kitty, but it's nothing that would touch that. And I'm not even sure, I'm speaking for myself, not the 5 or 6 active members on the commission. I'm asking you tonight to give us a chance to think this through and make a formal presentation.
I'm certain. As I mentioned earlier, Alice, was that this would be the first of several meetings, hopefully like 5 or 6, where we could get proposals in place. I got a couple questions for you. That is separate from anything to do with the Hearst house, right?
The Hearst house belongs to the cemetery.
Right.
Yes,
Okay.
but
And-
it's exactly on the border of the park, there,
Right.
Conservation Park property. But it is, that shouldn't intimidate anybody.
No, no.
It's all owned by townspeople in common.
I'm wondering, have you spoken with the Vermont Preservation Trust at all to get an engineering evaluation? 'Cause that's essentially what we were looking at as a,
Maybe 10 years ago, we did have them here, and there is an extensive report done at that time, which I could make copies and present to you. But that wouldn't be too valuable.
no, it's not accurate anymore.
Day and age.
Right.
And we don't know how much fixing up to do on it. There is a person in town who's highly interested in renting it once it is usable to some extent. Very anxious to do something with it.
Yeah, let's, but yeah, I'm happy to entertain that. I think as a, somebody who's responsible for moving this forward, I'd like to see what you've got in mind for that. And we had initially on another project contacted the Vermont Preservation Trust, and they were going to match a grant, money to us to provide an engineering study for another structure. And I'm thinking that that may be wonderful to reach out, and if something like ARPA funds could be put towards just developing an estimate, what needs to be done, then this money isn't going to go away immediately. I mean, we have until 2024 to allocate it and 2026 to actually spend it.
That's what I understood from what I heard
Yep.
recently on the television.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm not in a super rush to allocate everything out. And there are ways that we can leverage this money with matching grants. I'd love to take advantage of stuff like that as well. So I think if we all work together towards best utilization of the funds, that's a super idea. Because anything that's a structure that's historical worth preserving, and if you can put somebody inside there and there's income now generated from it, that's a whole different thing. That'd be great.
How soon do you expect to be holding your next meeting?
3 to 4 weeks. I want to do these regularly over the next few months. Like I said, maybe wrapping it up by Thanksgiving, making sure word of mouth gets out to everybody that, hey, we're serious. We want to take applications. We want to look and see what's going on. I have 2 people that said they were going to be here tonight, but they're not. And maybe that's because they were just, they really do.
Right.
Good idea.
See you with us again.
That's not a bad thing. Anybody else? Any questions? Tell your friends, tell people in town, let people know. We'll work hard to warn it better and maybe get out some notes about this meeting so that people have a feel or an idea what's going on, and take a look at what else comes. We do have it recorded, so refer them to our YouTube channel for whatever dropouts there might be in there. But we'll certainly make everything from a note-taking standpoint. Everything you have here, totally transparent. We want to make sure we get it out in front of people. So we'll publish those in our official minutes as well.
I was going to present. I don't have Mac's going to do the paperwork on it. He's the one who handles it. Like I said, the numbers for the tractor are high. I mean, it's a new grader, should I say. The grader Mac was estimating at about $330,000. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
The
That's it.
thing-
Not saying that's going to spend the whole thing. However,
Right.
you got to remember, we have a new equipment fund. We have the ability to borrow money as a town as well. We also have a trade-in, which has a lot of value. So there's a whole bunch of things that have to happen before that happens. Plus, we're not looking at necessarily new ones. We're looking at some really good used ones as well.
We're
So-
trying to get, so for the town's taxpayers, we need a new grader. And we're going to either pay for it in our taxes or offset some of the funds some other way. You know, it really is. The grader that we have is a 1991. It's 31 years old. Parts are getting hard and it's breaking down. So it comes down to, Mac had brought it up. We've actually talked about this grader at the select board meeting. I don't know. We've talked about graders at select board meetings since I've been on the select board since March. So
Our road commissioner has a slot in the meeting and he brings it up or John asks him about it. And
I do. Because there was one that was used or potentially coming up used from Johnson. It was like 12 years old and it was a heck of a lot cheaper, but they didn't do it or something came up and we couldn't get it. We know our grader is, you know, it works, but there's a lot of problems. It's costing us a lot of money to keep running. The same thing with the tractor. The tractor, I forget what Max said. It was like mid-90s that tractor was bought. It's experiencing issues and they just keep fixing it. And the thought process behind it is We can't do all the stuff. And for those who haven't watched select board meetings, just recently, we had to hire someone to do the work that our tractor can't do. So we're spending the tax funds to get the brush cut back. And one of the things is we only have so much in the budget, so we can't get everything cut back. We're only getting parts done this year and maybe parts done next year to try to push back some of this growth back to where it belongs and off of our roadways. So our tractor can't handle that. And then the third thing
With all
was,
due respect, John, I don't
Yeah.
know if it's appropriate to talk about town business in this meeting format, but I certainly.
she
wanna
asked
answer
about the,
question.
yeah, I'm answering the question,
Yeah.
my presentation. Okay, so,
Yeah.
yes, Linda. I totally hear you. I'm not disagreeing in any scenario. I'm just presenting just like everyone else did. The other one is the watershed project that we know that we have an issue that the water literally just turns on and runs. And it runs for a certain amount of time. If that's enough water, great. If it's not, great. It won't turn on until tomorrow. And if it's too much water, it just kind of hits its max. And then the storage of the town records, you know, I know my deeds are in there. I'm sure everyone else's is and other records for the town records. So in every one of the scenarios, it just much like everyone else sitting out here, everybody has, you know, the best intentions and the funds they are thankfully available to us because God's honest truth, if it didn't come out that we got the funds at all, the state did something different than other states and they just split it up amongst all the towns, the funds. They could have held on to it and dispersed it the way they want it. Instead, they said, you know, by populace and everything else, this is how much money each town gets. So I'm grateful for that. If we didn't have that, none of our projects would be anything other than taxpayer dollars, right? So it just comes down to what's everyone's going to present, what gets presented to the select board and what the select board ultimately decides the funds are going to go towards.
That simplified it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we'll look for, at our next meeting, some information for the town proposal. And I think Ms. Foote will present us with something concrete for. Well, you know, with all due respect, if you bring the idea to us, doesn't matter. It's an idea that needs to be out here. So find a volunteer then. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Have a great night. Thank you, Rosalie, for joining. You can unmute. You're muted.
You're muted, hon.
Here, watch.
It
Unmute.
was nice to see everyone. Thank you.
Good night. And